Theological Pipe.
That whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes!
I'm your huckleberry.
In 1966, the Beach Boys released Pet Sounds. It's the number 2 album on the Rolling Stones top 500 albums of all time. And what I'm doing with Theological Pipe, every once in a while, I'm going to stop talking politics, stop talking about, cultural events, that kind of stuff, and kind of just do an album review. And I thought I'd just kind of go through the Rolling Stone top 500. I'm not going to do all 500, obviously, but just every week or so, maybe a couple times a week, do an album review. And I came up with a scale, 1 to 10. And this is just the way I'm going to do it for myself as I give these ratings and kind of go through them. The first album on the list I did about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. It was Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. That was the number 1 album of all time, and you can listen to that album review, that podcast. And so 10 would be Perfection, the perfect album. 9 would be Near Perfection, an absolute all-time classic. 8 would be considered a classic, an all-timer with maybe a miss or 2. 7, great album, some misses, but the classics on the album make up for the misses. 6 is a good album, classic songs, but just as many misses as classics. 5 would just be average, good song or 2. 4, almost average, maybe 1 good tune with some other nice moments. And then 3 would be poor. Maybe it has a nice beat, or maybe like a one-hit wonder, decent type song, but that's it. And then anything below that, who cares? Nobody's going to listen to it. So Rolling Stone puts out their list of the top 500 albums. Number 1, they had, again, Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. Number 2 was the Beach Boys, Pet Sounds. Brian Wilson wrote and arranged all the songs, then showed the Beach Boys the songs to make some refinements and maybe some vocal changes, that kind of stuff. And it was thought in 1966, just before this was released, that Wilson might have just released it as a solo album, but he brought it to the Beach Boys and they recorded it. It's considered their greatest album. They're the best album they've ever done. And just some background for the Beach Boys. I like them. I mean, they're obviously an all-time classic American rock band. I like them, but I've never loved them. I'm not a huge fan of the surfing sound of the 50s and 60s. Again, don't hate them. Don't hate the Beach Boys or the album, just not my favorite, not one of my favorites. But again, there's no doubting that the Beach Boys were brilliant at crafting pop songs with their melodies and harmonies and everything that they've done. They did a great job. So again, for me, when I initially went into this, probably would have this album lower than number 2. I don't think it's the number 2 album of all time, but there's no doubting that it's a classic, that it's a worthy of being on the list. Again, should it be in the top 2, 3, 5, 10? That's again, there's probably personal opinions there, but for me, it's a great album. And so track by track, I kind of went through and listened to them. This is what I did last time with my Marvin Gaye album. I listened to each track, kind of talked about them, and so the album starts out with "Wouldn't It Be Nice." Beautiful harmonies, classic teen "I Want to Be Older" song. It says, "Wouldn't it be nice if we were older? We wouldn't have to wait so long." The singer longs to be married, spend every day together, and I'll say married. That's kind of the sentiment, I think. But they wanted to be together forever. It was young love longing to be adult love. It's a great song, a great opener. But for me, the drawback to the song is it's really short. It's 2 minutes and 36 seconds. A lot of their songs are short, but this song, because it's such a good song, just as about you start to get into it, it ends. And so that would be my only criticism of the song, the opener, "Wouldn't It Be Nice," is that it's just short. The next song is "You Still Believe in Me." It's another short song, wistful song about a singer's girlfriend still believing in him despite the fact that he's stupid. And you always hear the phrase for guys is "my better half I think that's pretty true across the board. Every single guy marries up, as far as I'm concerned. And so this song is about the singer being grateful for his girlfriend still believing in him despite the fact that he's made mistakes. Again, not the deepest lyrically song. Lyrically it's not the deepest song. Not one of my favorites. I do like the ending is I Want to Cry. They sing the song and it ends I want to cry, and then there's a lot of oohs and ahs, and that goes on for a minute, for one whole minute. And the song, this is even shorter than Wouldn't It Be Nice. It's 2 minutes and 34 seconds, and 1 minute of the song is I want to cry, ooh, and I mean that's a whole minute. I like that part. It makes it interesting, but again, a short song. It's not that deep, not my favorite song, but a good song nonetheless. There's the next song on the album is That's Not Me. That's Not Me. It's not for me. I even now thinking back, I couldn't even give you an idea of how the song went. Mike Love leads the song. Him and Wilson's voice, great compliment. But again, the song is just average to me, and again, forgettable. There's a good line in the pre-chorus. It says, I could try to be big in the eyes of the world. What matters to me is what I could be to just one girl. So the song is about the singer wanting to have freedom to live his dreams, but realizing that he's better off living with his love, with his girlfriend. Again, a couple good lines, not the greatest song in my opinion. The next one is Don't Talk, Put Your Head on My Shoulder. Slow tempo love song. One of the lines is, being here with you feels so right. We could live forever tonight. Let's not think about tomorrow. There's great strings in the song, great production. All the songs, top-notch production and instrumentation and everything. And the instruments and the vocal arrangements, it just sets the mood great for this song and for all the songs. But that's Don't Talk, Put Your Head on My Shoulder. I'm Waiting for the Day is really the first upbeatish song. All the other songs are sort of the same tempo. This one's a little more upbeat. Starts with a pretty cool drum intro. And if you listen to the Beach Boys, their harmonies are real tight. Their vocals are real mellow and ethereal and kind of just are there. In this one, in verse 2, Brian Wilson's vocals are just more raw and louder and less beautiful, and I really like that part. The song is him waiting for the day that the girl's going to fall in love with him. The singer fell in love with a girl who had her heart broken, and he's waiting for the day that she's able to love again. So it's a good song. I like that one. They have an instrumental track, Let's Go Away for a While. And there's a couple instrumental tracks on the album, and they're just odd to me. They just seem out of place because we're talking about the Beach Boys and the harmonies and the pop songs, and then you have an instrumental track, and the instrumental track is just not interesting. So just not sure about it. The next one is Sloop John B. This is the one song on the album that Wilson didn't write. It's a cover of sorts of a traditional West Indies folk song from a 1927 song by Carl Sandburg. Different feel from the like melancholy longing, I'm in love, I long for something different, lovesick feeling from the rest of the album. It almost feels like it doesn't belong. It's a sailing and drinking and getting into fights, then wanting to go home, and despite its drunken regrets and wanting to go home, it's more playful and more fun than the other tracks. And I really like the track, to be honest with you. It doesn't fit with the overall mood of the album, but it's a good song. And then this is God Only Knows. The next song is God Only Knows, led by Carl Wilson. One of the lines, if you should ever leave me, well, life would still go on, believe me. That's one of the lines he sings. But then he follows that great declaration of, hey, listen, if you leave me, life is going to go on. He leaves that, he follows that with this line, is the world could show nothing to me, so what good would living do me? God only knows what I'd be without you. Great song, one of my favorites on the album. Good lines. It's probably one of the more famous ones. Well, a lot of Beach Boys songs are famous, but it's a really good song. The next cut is I Know There's an Answer. It's upbeatish. It's got a really cool instrumental break with banjo and harmonica in it. Next track is Here Today. Love is here today and then it's gone. One of the lines, a brand new love affair is such a beautiful thing, but if you're not careful, think about the pain it could bring. It's a clever tune about a singer wanting new love, and then the old boyfriend chimes in the song. So the singer's singing about wanting this girl, this new love, and then the old boyfriend chimes in and says this. It says, right now you think that she's perfection. This time is really an exception. Well, you know, I hate to be a downer, but I'm the guy she left before you found her. Well, I'm not saying you won't have a good love with her, but I keep remembering things like they were, it's a good song. Love is here today. It's gone fast. For me, on all the tracks, this is probably my favorite for the cleverness of it, for the singer singing about a love that he wants, and he wants that new love, and then the old boyfriend chiming in and say, hey, you don't know what you're in for. So that's probably, Here Today is probably my favorite track on the album. Another great song was, the next one is I Just Wasn't Made for These Times. Great lyrics. Feeling is great, instrumentals, the instruments, the vocals, it all captures the mood and the song and the lyrical content. He says, I keep looking for a place to fit where I can speak my mind, and I've been trying hard to find people that won't leave behind. They say I've got brains, but they ain't doing me no good. I wish they could. The singer gets inspiration, he has plans, and then nothing comes from them, which causes him to lament, I guess I wasn't made for these times. So he has a lot of things he wants to do, but he can't do them, and so he's thinking, I just wasn't made for these times. And just a good song. The thing that I appreciate about this song is it doesn't get wrapped up in a nice fuzzy feeling that you'd expect of the Beach Boys. Instead of a silver lining, or hey, I'm going to do these things and it's going to be better. Even though I wasn't made for these times, I'm going to do these things and they're going to get better. It's just Wilson repeating over and over, kind of lamenting, I guess I wasn't made for these times. I guess I wasn't made for these times. Next cut is Pet Sounds. Again, another instrumental. Odd, out of place, probably more interesting than Let's Go Away for a While, but it just doesn't fit for me. Caroline, no. The singer laments a girl changing. She's changed her hair, she's changed her glow. One of the lines is, I remember how you used to say you'd never change, but that's not true. The lyrics kind of capture the sadness of a girl changing. Again, it's not a bad song, it's just not a great song to me, and that ends the album, Pet Sounds. And I've been thinking over, the past couple days since I listened to this and did these notes, why don't I like it that much? I like it, and I'll tell you my rating here in a minute. It's a great album, no denying. Great production, great vocals, great harmonies, great songs, some really clever songs like I mentioned. But for me, it's probably not my top 10. Maybe not even my top 20. Again, I appreciate the melodies. I appreciate the lyrics. I appreciate the singing. I appreciate the vibe. I understand where they're coming from, that teenage love and angst. The overall feel of the album, the cohesiveness, and the fact that Brian Wilson was basically a one-man show and then brought it to the group for them to kind of tweak it. It is pretty amazing, that he did that. There's some incredibly interesting and complex variances within the songs that some people might not even notice. And I was reading about some of the key changes and melodies and notes and different things that they did, and it's all there. Again, but for me, it's just there. It's good. It's got good lyrics, some great songs on it. But I can picture in my head there's going to be very few times where I'm going to be sitting around with friends or by myself or working in the garage or doing something and I'm going to say, I'm going to put on Pet Sounds because it's a great album. Again, it's a great album, but for me, it's not going to be something I'm going to go back to. It's not going to be something I'm going to return to. And that's kind of, I always think like maybe I'm just missing something, and hey, this is my personal opinion, but I don't think it's a number 2 album of all time. I'm probably in the minority for some people, and that's okay. And I think this was one of the things that why I really appreciated What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, and I was kind of thinking, what's besides the music and the genre and the singing, what's missing? And other than God Only Knows on Pet Sounds, there's not much like spirituality or higher level thinking on this. It's just kind of elementary. It's all teenage love and teenage angst and I want to be somewhere different and imagine if we could do these things, and there's nothing wrong with that, but young teenage type love and longing, that's okay, but I'm always looking for something deep. And again, this is kind of theological pipe, so maybe I can cover it from a theological pipe moment. There's just really not much deepness. There's no spirituality to me. Again, there's some good lyrics and there's some cleverness, but I think that's kind of what's missing. For me, when it comes down to this is between a great album and a good album. You know, again, I understand why people would put it where they put it, but just the style, the content, the deepness of it, it just doesn't do it for me. So for me, I'm going to give this like a 6.5 out of 10. It's between a great album and a good album. You know, Marvin Gaye's, I would have given a 9 out of 10. And I don't know that I'm ever going to give an album perfection, but Marvin Gaye's was incredible, and I will listen to that, have listened to that again, and will continue to. Pet Sounds, 6.5. The next album that we'll do maybe in a few days is Joni Mitchell's Blue, and we'll talk about that when we get there. So again, another album, you know, if you love the Beach Boys and you disagree, man, hey, each to each his own, I guess, right? Again, a good album, worth a listen, but a top number 2 album of all time, I just disagree, and you know, there you go, I disagree. So it's a good album. Beach Boys are again deservingly in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and deserve all the accolades they get. But again, for me, I just think this album's quite a bit overrated, personally, and I think even if you consider it an all-time classic, I think there's other albums that are coming up that should be rated higher, and we'll talk about that. So again, album review number 2, Theological Pipe. This was Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Well, bye.